Welcome to the show, Richie.
Thanks for having me. Dan. Thanks for having me. Pleasure to be here. All right.
Well, I don't have a planned starting point,
You don't.
but childhood always seems like a good place to start because I don't really know anything about your childhood or kind of how you came into the beautiful man that you are today. I don't really...
Well, that's very flattering, Daniel. I appreciate that. So you want to hear about my childhood?
If you're willing to talk about it.
I have nothing that I'm not willing to talk about. So, story format, or are you interested in particular events, places, people?
However you want to tell it, man. It's your story.
Well, traditionally, if somebody asked me this, I'd feel weird because I'd be like, I'm talking about myself a lot.
That's
but
what I want.
Yeah, nobody really asks. So if I started just telling people this, I'd be like, what are you doing?
Just random.
I know. So, okay, yeah, I'll start, man. So I was born in Montreal. Actually, technically, I think Pointe Claire, which my understanding basically is Montreal. I don't, I've never actually been there with an adult, mind and eyes and ears. That's what I've been kind of told. My parents always told me Montreal, and then I was older, they were like, well, it's actually Pointe Claire. And so I was moved down to the States, and the difference between the city and the suburbs down there is pretty stark. Like you don't really say you live in Chicago unless you live in the city proper. Like if you live in the suburbs, it's kind of like you should just say where you live. You don't say Chicago if it's like Evanston or something, right?
Mm.
But regardless, that could be my own sort of like interpretation. And we moved in the United States. My dad got a job with a company called Allergan. Like a pharmaceutical company. They're actually responsible for Botox. Oddly enough, yeah. Anyways. So I would move down to Orange County, California, which is where I spent the majority of my childhood pre-18. So I lived in a city called Mission Viejo, and then the neighboring city, Laguna Niguel, until I was 15, a sophomore in high school, which is 10th grade. So I don't know, I think I can touch on a few different things. I'll share an experience with you that I think is funny when I think about it. So when I was in elementary school, the teacher had pulled down a map, and we were all sitting in front of the map. And it was just a map of the U.S. So it was just us, and this is it's called Del Lago Elementary School, and I was probably third grade or something in that area. And she was going around asking everybody where they were born, and the majority of people were born from California, like right there. So It was this city was Mission Viejo, and I had heard that I was born in Montreal, but I didn't see it on the map. So I was panicking, and she was going around, and I didn't know what to say. I was panicking, like, what am I going to say? And I started doubting myself. There's no such thing as Montreal. I was just a kid. I'm looking on the map, and I don't see Montreal anywhere. So I'm like, fuck, what am I going to do, right? So we used to spend we used to go camping up in Oregon for the summers. And we did that regularly year after year. So we'd go up there, and I'd just be living in a tent during the summer after school. And so I told my teacher I was born in Oregon because I didn't know what to say. So I totally choked. I was totally afraid that I had like somehow made a mistake, that there was no such thing as Montreal, or if I said it, the teacher obviously I was very afraid of being embarrassed or I couldn't even really know how to put what I was afraid of into words at this point in my life. But I lied, and I told, to save what I perceived as face then, that I was born in the state north of California, because that's all I knew what to say at the time. So that's sort of, nobody really, my family spoke a lot of French when I was young, and we were in America at this point, and I started getting annoyed. So my parents they lived in Quebec for a long time, so they would speak French quite a bit, and when I was young, I seemed like a lot of the time it was just French that they were speaking, and I would get mad and tell them to start speaking English. I didn't know French, and all that I had picked up was basically from them talking. And in Southern California, it's English in the States. I mean, there's other, obviously Spanish is a big language, but they're not official languages. And I couldn't go to school. French wasn't going to do me any good. So I was very like, speak normal. And, so I don't know, man, like school was pretty normal. I played sports. I was pretty okay. I played baseball. I did really well in Little League baseball. I was on Little League Toronto Blue Jays team, which was awesome. I actually did really well. I was a catcher, hit a few home runs. Like I did really well. And it was the same with soccer. I was on a All-Stars and then a traveling team for soccer up until, I don't know, once high school started, addiction had started taking over, and drug use and the problems associated with such. And I started falling off of the team sports. I started was at the beach a lot, surfing a lot, skateboarding a lot, bodyboarding, body surfing, hanging out, smoking, that sort of thing. One of the things that I've never talked about, there's this, a lot of the times I look back and I try to figure out where that spot was where I went wrong. And I use those words in a way that I'm like, and I don't really mean where I went wrong, but if I could like figure out what I need to heal as an adult, where can I look back to see the most obvious, first sign of it, right?
Sure.
So when I was in 6th grade, it's about 6th and 7th. Well, when I was in 7th grade, I had some friends, and we used to play tackle football down the street. And I started getting interested in girls, and there was this dance going on, and the girl that I liked was going to be at this dance. So I was like pretty obsessive. Like on my way home from school, I would skate by, and I'd like stop by her house and hang out, and just like, I didn't really hide the effect that I liked her when I was young. And so I'm like, all right, come on, let's go to the dance. And they're like, oh, we need a ride home. And to be perfectly honest, to be fair to myself, like at that age, I didn't have to like plan ahead. Like I would just call my mom and she would come pick me up, right? Yeah. That was, my dad wasn't home a lot. He traveled for his job a lot. So he would be out of the country and he would be gone. He would come back for maybe 2 weeks, but he was gone a lot of the time. And so my dad actually was back in town, and I really didn't like assess the threat at the time. But so I was like, oh yeah, guys, no, I got a ride. No, it's cool. Like my mom's gonna come pick us up. So we go to the dance, and this whole, whatever the night transpires as nights in 7th grade dances do. So very typical of probably your experience, yeah. And then like, fuck man, why didn't you kiss her? You were, you know what I mean? Like you were right there. Like that whole thing transpired, but then I pick up the phone to call my mom. My dad picks up and says, no, I'm not picking you up. Hangs up the phone. So I let my friends know. My dad picked up the phone and he said he's not going to pick us up. And he's like, what the fuck? You said that they were going to come. So they had to call their parents to come get us. And they got in trouble. And this turned into like, I basically got blacklisted pretty hard. Like it was at an age, and looking back, a part of it had to do with the girl. But like sort of like, my closest friend at the time, or was perceived as a friend, started threatening me and saying all of my other friends wanted to beat me up. And I started getting like a complex. I didn't want to go to school anymore. Like I pretend to be sick. Like my whole social life got upended because of this one fucking, and to be honest, I didn't actually check ahead of time to get a ride. And this sounds silly saying it now, but at the time I never did, and I never had to worry about it. But I knew that if my dad was in town, I had to worry about it. And I did know he was in town, but I rolled the dice because I was like, chances are my mom will pick up the phone, right? And it's all good if mom picks up the phone. But dad picked up the phone that night, man. And not to blame him, like I wasn't honest, and that's the truth. Like I didn't have a ride pre-planned. And so I spent all of 7th grade worried that everybody hated me, and he was always threatening me, and kids were always telling me he was threatening me, and a whole bunch of shit. And Oddly enough, the next year, like he had to move down to San Diego or something. My other friends come up and they were like, "Man, we never had a problem with you. Come on, come fucking hang out." Like that was all him, man. We're sorry. Like it's all good, and it was relief, but the damage had been done, right? Like I just wasn't too keen on hanging out with all them anymore. Like I just, and I started drifting towards more of the kids that were smoking weed. We were skateboarding a lot, so we started skateboarding a ton, like every day. Getting high, going home from school, we would start tripping on acid in junior high, and like we would go to school and we would take a dose or two and like trip while we were there. And
At school?
At school,
Holy
yeah.
shit.
And and we spent a long time skateboarding and taking pictures and doing, so that whole thing we spent getting into fights. I was sort of like, wasn't keen on the fighting bit, but I was keen on like I like causing, like getting into trouble. I just didn't like the actual violence. But a lot of my friends like to start fights, especially with older people. Like they used to like to, 10 of us versus two 18-year-olds, right? Like that sort of deal. Yeah. So we got in, there was a few like pretty big events that took place, but that's sort of like, that doesn't really matter. But those were the sort of people that I started gravitating to, and that's sort of like what continued on. So I mean, I don't know, like, I've had some pretty serious injuries. I was in a wheelchair for a bit. I've lived in a few different places. Like, my dad moved the whole family out to an apartment in Nice, France, right around that same age, so right around junior high. I was going into junior high, or junior high was 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, and I was going into 6th. And he had moved us all over to France, and then the next summer I had to spend in Austria. So I had a friend who was from Austria, and I went and stayed with his family, and ended up falling off a a 2-story wall. And at that age is a little bit bigger than it would be, but it's still a far drop. Like it was really far. And I smashed both my heels, and I was in a wheelchair. I had to fly back to the States, to California. So they cleared a spot off the plane. They removed the whole plane seat, and then I would go and they locked me in my wheelchair on the plane, and to fly back in the wheelchair on the plane by myself. And I was in the wheel, and I couldn't walk properly, so I don't know, it was probably close to a year before I could play sports again and stuff. I was in a wheelchair for 3 months, and then after you don't use your legs, because they're your legs, a long time, they just try to have me walk a certain way on crutches, and it was really uncomfortable. So I'd always rather the wheelchair because it just would hurt too bad. It was really, I had to go to physical therapy and hold your foot and press against this, and they push weight in different ways, make me do different things, and it was just agonizing. And then they, there was a couple big old pins in it, and they pulled those out. And so that was sort of a pretty significant event too, because I was off my feet for the better part of a year when that happened. And even after the casts were removed and it was out, I couldn't walk properly for a while. So I remember it was just a weird experience because my legs were so dead from being broken and in a wheelchair that even they would look normal, but I'd still have to be rolling around in a wheelchair, and I'd have my crutches with me, and I'd try to spend part of the day on my crutches, and I'd end up in the wheelchair. And that was kind of a shitty experience, but it sort of shaped what was to come, right? It was just very much I could tell I was looked at as the kid in the wheelchair. I felt oh no, I'm cool. You guys don't understand. I'm super good at sports. Honestly, this is how my mind was. I'm really good at sports. I'm really cool. In my little kid head, I like cool stuff and I like Nintendo. But the way that I perceived it, everybody was looking at me as the dude in the wheelchair who needs,
we're not buying.
Yeah, he needs to be in the front of the line, or he needs to. I remember one day I was just bored, and we were in recess, and we're waiting to head back in the class, and I'm doing wheelies. I'm just not even thinking anybody's watching. I'm just trying to keep the wheelie going as long as possible. In my head, that's the coolest shit I can do in a wheelchair. I have nothing better to do, so I'm just trying to keep the wheeling going. A couple kids start making fun of me, saying, "Oh, he thinks he's so fucking cool doing a wheelie in his wheelchair," and I was actually completely oblivious to the fact that there were people around. It was the mental challenge of trying to stay up in the wheelie position in the wheelchair. And I can remember it was a whole thing. Then these other kids came and started sticking up for me, and it was really embarrassing, man. They were he is fucking cool, man. this whole thing. And so I guess socializing was always hard. And then from California, I moved over to New Jersey. We moved a lot, man. I moved from a couple different cities in California. Then I'd have to meet new people because it's far enough away that I can't keep in touch with my old friends. And I moved from California over to New Jersey for my last few years of high school. I got kicked out of freshman year. I went to, my parents sent me to a Catholic school. They thought it'd be good for me. The girlfriend at the time was going to that school too, so I didn't really object. Obviously, we broke up, I think it was November of that year. So school starts in September. We broke up in November. So it was like, oh, great. Yeah, so my girlfriend's not even here. So I got in a lot of trouble for shit like not tucking in my shirt. So like I refused to do a couple of things. Like I was just expressing myself. I wouldn't tuck in my shirt. I dyed my hair purple. I'd like shaved it in a mohawk. But I didn't cause like, I didn't cause like a problem in a way that was active, right? Mm-hmm. So it was just my refusal to do a few things.
Conform.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was my refusal to do those things. And after a while, you get so many tickets. And there was actually, towards the end of the year, the kids started like, I don't know, the equivalent of Catholic school lunch cafeteria rioting. Like they would start throwing food and they were screaming and everybody like throwing chairs and fucking trash and pizzas, and kids are just starting to get rowdy, right? So what they do is they call everybody in the assembly room, and what they did is they picked, like it was the top 10 people with the most demerits. Funny enough, had nothing to do with the issue.
Yeah.
So that we weren't throwing food. Like we just hung out, like, I don't know, we were the kind of sort of like outcasts of the school or whatnot, right? We didn't play football. We were like the skateboarders and the people that got high and shit. So we'd like be sitting in the fucking corner, like, or not in the corner, but we'd be sitting like on the side of the curb, just talking shit, like making spit puddles. We didn't participate at all, but we all get like kicked out. We had nothing to do, so we get kicked out because we have the most demerits. We racked up demerits for like not tucking in our shirt and things of that nature, right? Not very simple, like constant infractions, like little ones. Yes, sir.
So in front of the school, they're like, you,
Yeah.
you're all expelled.
Yep, from the whole school.
Gosh,
Total shame fest, man. Yeah, it was Catholic school in 1991 or two. It was. We were all on the basketball bleachers. Yeah, and they called out our names because they didn't know, they were kind of beside themselves on what to do, right? Like they were like, you guys are acting crazy, and they tried to stop it once or twice, but it was like kids were just fucking going nuts at lunch, like just starting shit, just not listening to anything the teachers had to say, just going fucking wild.
It's like a movie.
Yeah, and we were sitting back watching it, just like, what the fuck's going on? Like, what are all these fucking like, they're like the football players and the cheer, like, what are they doing? We just minded our own, right? But yeah, so we got kicked out, and that's fine, like whatever. I ended up moving after that anyways. My dad got a job in New Jersey, and I went there, and by that time I already had a hard time making friends. The pattern of girls were always easier to make friends with, girlfriends with, special friends with, whatever term was applicable at the time or you want to use now. Like girls were always easier to meet for whatever reason. I don't know, for whatever reason I did well with girls when I was young. So, but guys, like I kind of struggled building close friendships, but I did, over time build one or two, and then started meeting people and getting comfortable after the move. But there's a lot of this social awkwardness, not feeling in place. Growing up in the States, I've only been back to Canada for like 5 years now. This is a different world. Like sometimes I think about how different it is down there, and I'm like, fuck, it really is just way, way different. Like way more people, way more things to worry about. Like, and there was a lot of drug use, and it started with a lot of like the weed smoking got heavy, the hallucinogen use got heavy. And then, cocaine started, and it was basically what happened. Like the weed was really, in the little town that I moved to, weed was really hard to get. Like it was illegal still. It was in the 90s in the States, and it's East Coast on top of it. So it was a little bit easier in California, but it moved out east. It was really, people had to like bring it in, and like it'd be super expensive. Like, so it was just a fucking pain in the ass. And but we were like 45 minutes from New York City, so you can go to New York City and get a quarter pound or something for an affordable price, and we could bring it back. And the guy who sold the weed also sold coke, and it was like very much like you go into Washington Heights, like Spanish Harlem, very very super dangerous neighborhood, like beyond belief. And that's kind of like the way the drugs work down there. That's how a lot of the drug use is. It's more like spots, like drive-through spots, like, and they're typically not great areas. You just sort of pop in, and they, and they go. So it's just like more like a drive-through situation. I mean, obviously the cell phone and all that stuff still exists, but spots would pop up, and that's so they'd buzz us up, and like somebody would watch, and if like a cop came down the street or something, they'd buzz, and we'd have to wait. But he had triple beam and just a lot of cocaine, and he would offer to, you want to try it. He put out lines for everybody. Yeah,
Triple beam.
it's a scale.
Okay.
It's like a really accurate scale before digital scales were popular. For like larger amounts of something like cocaine, you'd use a triple beam, yeah. Or any larger amount of weed if you wanted like a real accurate weight measurement. So basically what it does is you put an ounce worth of weight on one side, and then you have it balance out like it's a triple, yeah. So that's 3 beams, it's triple, yeah. So anyways, man. So they were like the most accurate thing. But anyways, he would offer, and we'd try it, and what ended up happening is once I did that, I was kind of beside myself on how good that felt. And crystal meth, I had friends come up from California, and they brought a bunch of meth with them. And he's my best friend growing up in California visited in New Jersey, and he brought meth with him, and he's dead now. He died when he was 23. But he started using meth and shooting meth really young. I never actually shot meth, but he would bring it, and we couldn't find any more meth, and that's how the cocaine came into picture. We could find cocaine in New York, and that became a really big problem. I got in a lot of trouble. I went to juvenile hall. I got arrested for selling weed, and things just started spiraling from there, man. Like, my dad lived in Hong Kong for a while. Like, it was just my mom, and she was like a secretary trying to pay the bills, and she wakes up and finds her son has stolen a bunch of money for cocaine beside herself. She doesn't know what to do. And I got placed in the treatment, 2 treatments, and long-term like the 30-day, then a 60-day. And I'm only 16, 17. And in New Jersey, you got to be 17 to drive. I got arrested. I sold a quarter of weed to a cop. They take away my license. And, I was on house arrest for a while, and I would like steal my mom's car in the middle of the night while I was on house arrest and driving to New York to score. I was a mess, man. Like, it got real messy. Once I turned 18, I started going to county jail. First time I went to county jail, I spent a month there, and so the drug use got worse, man. So I got to heroin, I got to needle use, I got to methadone. My family suffered. My sister, I'm working on giving my sister an amends with a step 9, and I'm working another step 9 now. The last time I tried, she wasn't open to listening to an amends from me, and I'm hoping this time she is. My poor sister, obviously, as an addict, as her brother, like, she spent years at my fucking mercy, like, helpless, right? So, I was not a kind brother. I am the way I am. You know how I am. And I've always sort of like had that core personality, but with the drug use so shoved underneath, like anything that she owned, I just thought was rightfully mine, and I could take, that's sort of like, I was like that. And the worse the drug use got, the worse that was. I'd take her cigarettes, her money, whatever it was. I just thought I was allowed to have it. Like, my mind was so fucking gone. Or it wasn't even that. It was just that I thought I needed it, and I had no consideration of what was mine and what wasn't mine, and respect. I didn't understand, like, drugs had taken over really bad when I was young, and the addiction got really bad. And I've lived quite a few places, man, like a lot of different places. I've lived in Oregon, I've lived in New Mexico, I've lived on the streets of New Mexico. I was on methadone really young, and I stayed on methadone for a really long time. I spent a lot of time in jail when I was young. So by the time I was your age, I was done. But like, my college years were spent pretty much in county jail. I spent 19 months straight, and different little increments before that, months, weeks before that. All like theft stuff due to addiction. And basically what ended up happening is methadone and psych meds kept me kind of on ice, so to speak, for a long time. And I lived a pretty miserable existence, man. So the good, I did make good friends, and I did have some good experiences in life, man. It's like some really beautiful experience. I was in love with a woman in a way that I have not known since or before, and I basically relapsed, and she caught me red-handed having sex and relapsing with somebody else. Like my mind was like, I was at a bar and I just went with this girl. We went to the west side of Chicago and got heroin and crack, relapsed, had sex all night. And my girlfriend, like somebody was like, oh, I saw Rich leave with Jennifer. And I couldn't, like, so I, and like, I loved, I really cared about her, but I was like dry for a bit after I got out of jail. I wasn't using, just smoking cigarettes. And the urge, like I went to a bar and I had a few drinks, and the urge to get high and just act that, like, it took over. Completely blinded to everything I cared about, anyone I cared about. So looking back, I know people would say, well, you don't really love her, and probably right. Like I could only love her as much as I loved herself, but I thought so highly of her, like, and definitely, like, if I was here, the way I thought of her was just like I couldn't even reach, right? So, but I mean, I guess it just goes to show I can only do her as well as I'm doing myself, right? So I lost her, and that was pretty devastating, and I went through some pretty serious mental stuff. I started having like I spent a lot of years like psychiatrist and hallucinating. I'd relapse every now and again, but I would stay like at a steady methadone and pills. So I was on like all sorts of pills, all sorts of antipsychotics. I would have so many different sorts of health issues. My weight went way up and down, and it was quick. Like my body was going through hell, and I just kept like, for whatever reason, I just kept at it. And I mean, I don't know. This is basically like like the story of my addiction, man. And I guess that's the thing. So I've had a lot of experiences, but really it was it was my late 30s. So I was like 38. I just got in a really serious car accident. So I was on the way to see a dealer. I didn't have any money, and I was like, man, just fucking spot me. He's like, fine, I'll spot you. And I was like, yes. So I'm flooring it, and I'm in Milwaukee at this time. And I try to like go real. If we're at a light that's turning red, like it's going yellow to red, and I try to like cut in front of the oncoming car, and she nails me, and I spin around, and I hit the green generator box on the side of the road, and my car's on the side of the road, and my head whacks the windshield, and then my whiplash goes back the other way, and my seatbelt catches me, but everything just like, so I was like high velocity. Seatbelt stops me and everything, so my head, so like all the pressure and like everything kept going, so like the sensation of what happened in my head, I still haven't completely recovered from. Like the major vertigo is gone, but I still bouts of dizziness and sort of like wonky wobbly-ish sort of stuff. I never went to a hospital. But that's when I started to seriously be like, all right, I got to start getting clean. So I started dialing it back and just started smoking a ton of weed, eating a ton of edibles, but no more heroin, no more coke, no more anything like that. I detoxed myself off all the meds. So I got myself really sick. I was on benzos, so I like weaned myself off of them. And I just kept eating edibles. I'd go to Colorado and pick up like a quarter pound, come home, just keep it to myself, a bunch of edibles, and I'd be... and I would, yeah, and then I kind of like I did the marijuana maintenance program, and I decided to move back to Canada. I have family here. I was born there. I got family in Grinrod. I got family in Vancouver. So I plop into Grinrod, like, yeah, I'm here, what up? And I'm smoking a ton of weed still. And one day, I was taking like that oil, the oil they got these days, and you just put it under your tongue and just like disappear from awareness of what life is. Like, you just get too high with that shit, right? Like you could just drop, and the amount of THC that you're just like fucking, I was just too much, and I would get just gone, and I woke up and was like, I had a half ounce, like, I'm done. And I was like, I Googled NA, found the fucking meeting, and went downstairs to like the garbage for like the residence I was staying, the apartments, and I threw my weed away. I went to a meeting that night, completely crazy, like in psychosis, going on about conspiracy and disease and COVID and shit. And I've been clean ever since, man. It was almost 5 years ago. So since I've been clean, like I've had all sorts, like start working, life, few different women, man. I've actually caused enough trouble on that, like clean, but my career has stepped up. I'm now working at the same place as you. I've got a few different certificates and some little bit of education under my belt, and I'm working on a couple more as we speak, and working on finishing up my hours for that counselor certification. That'll come up in like June. I'll have the hours for it. And until then, I'm working on like some attachment and regulation trauma courses and peer support worker course, like to be certified peer support worker. And I know I got a beautiful woman, you know her as well. She's been in my life, it'll be 2 years in January. I snowboard a lot. I've always snowboarded a lot, so that's another one of those things. I've been snowboarding since I was very young. I'm 48 now. But even in my addiction, so I would go years without making it up, but a lot of, like the years before, I would still get up a few times, right? Like, you know, it was the sort of thing where I was still using. I know it's a boring story, man. Mm-mm. Still using, but I'd get up there and I'd still enjoy myself, but do a lot of snowboarding since I got clean, like every year, and I start paying for the season's pass, like in summer, and put little bits on the pass until in November it's paid, the $1,000 is paid off, and then I'm riding like 3 days a week. I broke my arm last year, as you know, which was bad, dude. Like sometimes, so this is what happened with that. So tell me if when I broke my arm, the bone was completely, so it wasn't fractured, like it broke, like it both completely separated. So basically this part, I think it's right here, like the bone is no longer connected to the upper part of my body, and the arm, it formed, it almost looked like a second elbow. Like it went like, so elbow goes like this and the arm went like that again. And I was up there, and after I did it, so I was like I was coming up and I like bounced off a tree, and I was with a couple of my friends, and I was like, fuck, I just broke my arm. And they're like, what? They're like, how do you, I'm like, trust me, and I'm screaming. So I'm like, I just fucking broke it. They're like, all right. Sorry. They're like, what should we do? And I'm like, all right. I don't want to wait for ski patrol. So I hold it, and I'm like, just fuck it. So they get everybody out of my way, and I'm like, trying not to, because every bump is fucking killing me, man. So it's like more pain than I can describe. Every bump is killing me, and they're like making sure people are out of my way. Leslie drives me into the emergency room. I go to the emergency room, and I'm trying not to fucking scream. It's packed. I go in and they want me to take off my coat, and they start taking off, and I fucking scream. It hurts so bad. Like I started getting sick. That's how bad the injury was. Like it was weird. Like I started getting cold and like feverish. I was in shock. Yeah. It was super bad injury. And this lady starts like threatening me for yelling. And I'm like, oh my God. And I tried to be polite, like I'm sorry, but it hurt so bad. So like looking back, sometimes I want to go in and talk to like the supervisor on the emergency room floor, because I know they deal with like homeless people a lot, and she was talking like that, and she didn't know like how serious it was. So I came in and I was like, I fucking broke my arm, and they're like, all right, take a seat. So they don't know like I'm I'm not like in some position where I can wait around with the flu or something, right?
You're like kind of minimizing it. Yeah, my arm's just broken in here.
Yeah, but I mean they could tell I'm seething, right? But they get a lot of people coming in drug seeking and similar behaviors saying similar things, right? And so it felt very much like they were kind of like not 100% sure where I was at, right? So I'm in my snowboard gear still, you know, like, and Leslie's with me, and like, remember I couldn't even yell, or like I remember having to worry because I wanted to scream. I was trying so hard not to. I was like biting my lip and shit, like just going back and forth, and you know, she's threatening me and making too much noise, and I'm like, bitch. How fucking dare you? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I fucking snap my arm and I can't scream. Who's this bitch? So, yeah. Sometimes I guess there's a resentment lingering there. But I mean, I always decide, like, you know what? It's probably a super tough job to work in an ER, and she's just doing the best she can. I don't think it was personal, but that was a rough day, man. That was a rough day. So when I realized looking at it, so if this was like, say, if I did this injury, and this was just, let's say before, even during the Industrial Revolution, if I wasn't near like, if I didn't have a family like kind of on the outskirts, didn't have a farm, like, and an injury like that, I probably would have died, man. Like I couldn't have I couldn't have eaten. Like it was weird, that serious of an arm break. Like I got sick and I couldn't, like I was feverish, like things were like I was throwing up, like there was like my immune system went like just fucking shat out. Yeah, like, and I would have been in real trouble with like, if this situation happened and I didn't have help close by, or there wasn't help, like a knowledgeable help in a reasonable distance, I could have been in, there's a time, I realized there was a time when people died from broken arms and legs, and it probably wasn't that long ago. And it was just like a very humbling reminder as Leslie's speeding in the fucking Hummer or whatever, my friend's car, to the emergency room, just being super supportive and patient, just like understanding. It must have been hell for her. I was so loud, and she's on the phone with the ambulance while she's driving, wondering if they could like meet us halfway, and they're like, no, we need an address. And she's like, by the time we figure all that out, I can just fucking get them there. So that's what we decided to do. So that's it, man. I mean, recovery's been good, and life was. I've taken all sorts of stuff has happened. I've given college a couple different tries. I've got a few college credits. I've done some traveling, quite a bit of traveling. Used to go to a lot of Grateful Dead shows, a lot of hip hop shows. Always loved music. Spent a lot of time just like letting music sort of just take over, and it was very I don't know. It was one of those things that, when I was in like despair, music would always keep me to a point where I didn't get too low, right? Always get me to a place where I was able to make a better decision, so to speak, right? Like, I don't know, man. My life is, I feel kind of weird. I don't know what else really to talk about. Like, I don't know. Yeah, man. I mean, that's my experiences, man. That's my experience with life and moving, and I've lived a lot of places, and I messed up a lot, and recovery's treated me really well. I got a lot of friends these days. I got a beautiful place. I have a great job. Like I don't have to, some of my more serious worries are things that weren't on my radar in my youth, right? Like I would do them. I didn't think they were a problem. Yeah. Whatever it was, spending money I couldn't afford to spend, or things of that nature, talking to women my girlfriend would not like me to talk to. These sort of, like, I didn't, like, there was nothing there for me to think that these things were even, so that's the life change, right? So life is good, man, and I'm very fortunate. I'm very pleased that my parents were alive to see it. My mom's got Alzheimer's, which is kind of a bummer. She got to the point where she doesn't like remember my name or who I am. But I'm glad I was able to get clean before they passed, because I definitely put my family through some shit, man. My mom, my dad, and my sister, all of them kind of went through a lot with me and my behavior. Yeah. But they got to see me come on the other side of it and start taking care of myself, and, that whole thing. It's nice.
It's quite the story, man.
Yeah.
It's a lot more than I knew about you before.
Yeah.
There's so much that we can begin to unpack, but you said your dad was living in Hong Kong. Mm-hmm. Did him and your mother split up?
Well, that's a good question. I would say most likely, and they didn't tell me. That would be my answer. So basically that they were trying to keep that from me and my sister. Looking back, it's really suspicious. Like, the story I got at the time was he had to do business in Hong Kong, and flying back and forth was so taxing financially and on him. Like, it was a long flight, that he was just going to get an apartment and live out there for half of the year. So for 6 months out of every 12 months, he was going to live in Hong Kong. And that's what ended up happening. So yeah, that's my answer is they didn't tell me that they split up, but looking back, that's probably what happened. And so they've definitely had their trials and tribulations. I don't want to tell their story, but yeah, there's definitely been, I've been privy to situations that weren't end of relationships with them, right? So things that end relationships have happened, and they've managed to get through them, but they're very common things that a lot of couples don't get through, so. Chances are they were like taking a break or like a separation sort of thing. But I'm not 100% sure.
What was, like you said, you're in county jail for 18 months in a row?
19 in a row.
Yeah. So
well, it was, yeah.
How old were you at that time, and what was that like?
How old was I? I was 22 when I got locked up. And I was just about to turn 24 when I got released. So right before, like 2 months before my 24th birthday. I don't know, it was scary, man. Like, I wasn't sure. So I was facing a lot of time, like a lot of time. And so it was different theft charges, but it was like burglary type theft and car theft. So, burglary is 10 years and car theft's 5, up to. And if you've committed a crime before, which I had, or any crime, so it could even be a smaller sort of crime, they do a thing called, they add a repeat offender on it. So say that you're facing a crime that the maximum penalty is 10 years, the maximum penalty for a repeat offender is now 16 years. So I was facing a lot of times. I was facing like 50 something years in time, and so they were young, and that's more of like an overwhelming sort of statistic rather than the reality. Like, I went in fresh, dope sick, so I was shooting heroin, like really sick. I got arrested trying to cash somebody else's checks at a bank with a stolen car, so I got caught like with the checks and then the stolen car, so I got like right off, So jail was. So when I would get locked up and I'd be coming off heroin in particular, it was heroin back there. Fentanyl was on the streets, but there was actually still real heroin too. So it was kind of like what spot you go to, who's got it. That place has got the heroin. That place has got the fentanyl. And that place, heroin came in different form. Like the drugs were a bit different from what I understand they are today. Heroin also is like a gooey tar heroin. Mm-hmm. Was really popular in certain spots back then, but so I would get really sick and I would need sugar, and I didn't have any money, and none of my friends or family were going to be coming in to see me. They weren't very happy with me, obviously. So right off the bat, I do okay. Like I'm pretty I'm pretty respectful personality wise, but like I couldn't control my need for sugar and ended up stealing somebody's candy bar, or it was like a granola bar or something. And of course I got caught. I didn't think I would get caught, but commissary is like so well guarded, and it's not like it can't go missing, right? Like when you buy something in jail, like exactly what you got. Like you're not like, oh, I must have done something with this, like on the outside, right? Like if I was missing something at all, I'm like, oh, I must have ate it or less ate it. Like doesn't matter, right? But in jail, it's not like that. So. But I can remember one thing. I remember just I would run my mouth, and I didn't like go tell, and I didn't try to like back. I didn't try to like wuss out. Like I just sort of like, oh man, do whatever you're gonna do. I don't care, and I didn't. And I got tossed around a bit, but it was, and I would get it was different. It was different experiences, man. There's some, this city was called Kenosha, Wisconsin. It's between Milwaukee and Chicago. It's not the biggest city, but it's not the smallest. Real gangs and real violence and real stuff there, so I did well with some people and not so well with others. But the thing was, I kept to myself. I read a lot of books. After a while, my parents would come visit me, and they'd bring me a new book every week, and I would just pour through books. I would just read. I got involved with the treatment program there, and I did well there. And I was hoping to get probation, and when I went in court to get sentenced after I had been sitting for a while, the prosecutor asked for 6 years. We wanted to put me away for 6 years, and my attorney asked for probation, and the judge gave me a year in county after already serving 7 months. So that was a year, and I worked as a trustee for a while too. So I read a lot, and I worked as a trustee, which means you just get up and mop, clean the bathrooms, clean the floors. Like you put mops in the front of each block so the other prisoners can clean their cells, and then you rinse it and wash, you do the laundry, all that sort of stuff. And for every 2 days of work I did, I would get a day off my sentence. So it would have been a lot longer, but it was nice. So I got out right before Valentine's Day. And so, I mean, it was tough, man. Like, it was a long time. So it was 19, especially at that age, it's a very, very long time. And I was used to doing weeks or even like a month or two. Like, I had never like done a year plus. And it was a long time. But like, looking back, I didn't have any serious problems, man. Like, I spent a lot of time stressing about what my girlfriend was doing on the outside and looking forward to a letter and trying to get a hold of them. Like, I didn't worry about getting beat up or, you know, like, I didn't talk to anybody. I didn't like cause a problem. I just sort of like, I don't know, I read fucking books, man. I watched TV if there was something on I wanted to watch. And it worked. And that was it. Yeah, it was shitty, but it was fine. Like, I got out and I haven't been back. Never been back. I actually haven't. I got arrested. I got technically like catch and release arrested like 5 years later. I was like in Minnesota on my way out to Oregon, and I had like a bunch of some weed and a bunch of growing equipment, and they just took it and fined me. And but they, like, you know, so I didn't get like held or anything. They took me in, they booked me, and then they gave me a fine. And they also gave me like driving under the influence. But I have not had a major arrest since, like, for whatever reason, but yeah. So yeah, it was okay.
Except for like a couple weeks ago when I bailed you out. Jokes.
Oh, man.
That's wild, man.
Yeah.
You gotta, like, sometimes when I hear other people's stories, I'm like, fuck, mine's nothing. Like, I really minimize mine, even though for me, it was a lot, you know?
Yeah.
But it's, yeah, it can be hard not to compare and be like, man, I haven't been through anything.
I know that feeling too. I get that feeling a lot too, man. It's also weird, and I said this once at an NA meeting, and I realized, I didn't mean it for it to come across that way, but sometimes if I'm sitting with a group of friends or like just people, like just hanging out at dinner, I feel like I'm going around, like, I hear so many people tell their stories, and some people have such good stories, but there's so much just talking about, and then if I'm in like a social situation, I notice that everybody's, and this is just like, I feel like everybody's like taking turns talking about themselves. And then I just, sometimes I feel weird talking so much about myself, right? Like, I'm wondering, because I really have, like, I was epically selfish. Epically, like, what would the word be? Like, privileged almost, or like, I basically just took life for granted, man. Like, I had no gratitude or no sort of respect for any sort of like reality or other people's struggle. So when I talk about myself, it's almost uncomfortable these days. Like, it's just, there's been so many years when I was just living in self, for self, trying to make self feel like acceptable, you know, like just okay with a second of my day, right? Like, so it's not exactly like a comfortable thing, but I mean, fuck. There's a lot of people whose stories I hear, and I'm like, damn, like, I haven't been through shit, right?
So, like, yeah, the point you made, which I can relate to, I think is like pretty valid. And in my mind, there's a line, like, I don't know, because I could be wrong too. Like, I could just be in judgment, right? Like, if I'm, let's say, like, yeah, out for dinner, or like at someone's place, and it's like all of a sudden someone just pipes up and starts telling this like story about themselves out of nowhere without being asked, or it's just like, oh yeah, you know, I was like working in the garden doing this, blah, 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 and like, you know, I live in here, blah, blah, blah. Like, yeah. I'm just like, a lot of the time I think there's like a lot of like, you know, ego involved, but it could also stem from a place of like, you know, maybe they've never really been heard, or like they've never had a chance to like develop proper tools, or like they don't know maybe how to really listen, and they're right? They're really worried about what they have to say, or like, I think it's a balance, right? And are the words that you're sharing, like, what's the intention behind, telling your story, or like,
Yeah.
the way that you tell your story, I'm not like, fuck, the ego in this guy's out of control, right? I'm like, the way that you're telling your story is like very factual, but also is in a way that could help a lot of people, right? It's like, I don't know. You're just telling it for what it is. You're not like trying to glorify it, or like, hey, look at me, or like, that's the energy that I get from you when you tell your story, right? But yeah, I don't know. I think that could be something you could dissect for a long time, like why people do that, or.
Well, I know when I do anything like that, and not that I'm like, so anything I notice in somebody else, I do, or I've done, or I'm going to do, or all three. And I know that sometimes I'm just wanting to connect with somebody, right? I don't know what else to do. Like sometimes it's like I ask, okay, so first let me ask about them, or I get like a one-word answer, or they're disinterested. And then like this opportunity comes, so something's being said or something's going on that I can relate to. And I can remember in the past, especially the first couple of years clean, like I would just dump, like, oh yeah, I know about this, I was blah, 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 blah. And really, I'm basically saying, man, I would like to try being your friend. Or, girl, I like you, I would like to be your friend, or whatever. Like, it is like basically, so that sounds sort of childish, but it's, a lot of the times it feels like it's not much more than that. Like it really is like, let me just try to share myself and see if they like me, and then maybe I can like form some sort of connection. And I mean, I think that's the thing, is I spend my time is with other people in recovery, and all of us are kind of like learning for the first time how to do a lot of things, including connect with others, right? So yeah,
I think it's really dependent on how the person goes about it.
Yeah.
Like, if I told you a story about me, or like something that happened to me, and then, you were just like, oh, this one time I like,
Yeah.
like a one-upper,
Yeah.
It's
no,
like,
no,
whoa.
Yeah.
I like,
We'll get to that, man. Yeah.
I see that a lot, and I have to just like,
Right. No,
because people, so if you shared something with me, it's like, I don't need to, even if I relate to it, I can just be like, I really relate to that, man.
Yeah.
Like, I don't have to tell you, like, it's a dance between, like, I don't want to make it about me, especially if you're, like, being vulnerable or telling me something important. Like, you want me to listen, ultimately, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Right? Sometimes you can just be like, that must have been tough, or, like, it doesn't need to. I just see that, and even when it happens to me, I feel like it can really easily like tarnish that connection, or really just, it puts me in a place when it happens to myself anyway, where I'm like, I feel like you're not listening to what I just said to you.
Yeah. And I guess I get that a lot. In fact, like feeling not heard, like feeling like I've said something, and I mean, I'm just gonna like whatever, we're gonna talk about whatever. So like at work, for instance, and like a group of people, like when we're at a meeting or something and everybody's just sort of bantering, and this is just an example of when, but it happens in more, like I'll say something and it just doesn't go acknowledged, or it's like, it's kind of like my words go out and like everything just like it never happened, right? And that's the thing, man, is a lot of the times that happens more than once, where I feel like people aren't listening. And then in turn, I realize that I'm learning to listen. And the reason why even like these things are on my radar is because I'm working at them. Like I know it's a problem. My communication skills I know are a problem. My ability to relate to others and how I do it I know is a problem. Because so much of me wants to talk or wants to listen, like finding that healthy balance, as you pointed out before, is super important. And I'm even aware of these things because I work on it, because I know I struggle with it, and then I see, I'm not the only one struggling with it, but sometimes I like remind myself, you know what, it's okay just to listen. Like you don't have to speak just to be heard, to be validated, or to like prove your worth. Like, just listen to what others have to say, because what they have to say is important. Their feelings are important. And then the inevitable, like, well, I want to be validated as well. I want to be heard comes, and then all too often I find myself falling short. And it could be because the reason why I'm piping up is because of that. Maybe I don't have any sort of like authentic thing to actually share. Sometimes I just want to share it for the sake of sharing, because like I'm with a group of people and it feels like, you know what, it's been 10 minutes and I'm the only one who hasn't said anything. I should say something. You know what I mean? When I should just be like, you know, I still don't have anything to say, so.
Yeah. I've practiced that before and like still try to continue to practice it, like active listening. And I don't want to get into specifics, but there has been a few intimate situations where, let's say, you know, 4 people are chatting and like I'm right there in the mix. I'm just like, I'm not going to, like in my mind, I'm like, I'm not going to say anything the whole time. And let's just see if anybody asks like what I think or like if I have anything to say. Mm-hmm. It could be like half an hour, nothing.
Yeah, I do
like,
that
oh, you're really quiet at dinner. Yeah. Because it's, you know, we're all like, and I mean, I can do this too, right? Is like, not so much anymore, I hope, but I understand it too, is like, you really, for lack of a better term, like obsessed with self, right?
Yeah.
Like at that time, maybe in that mind frame is like, I don't really care what anyone else has to say.
Right.
This is about what I got to say.
Or what you're not going to say. So, I mean, how much are you actually listening if you've decided not to say anything and that's like your standing, that's like your baseline. Like, I'm just going to sit here and not say anything. How much are you actually listening to what other people are saying at that point, right? Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like, and this is a lot, like it's like I'm saying this because I've done that. Mm-hmm. And then it's really easy afterwards to get into self-pity. Again, they didn't ask me what I thought. Again, after the 10th fucking time, they didn't ask me what I thought. Like, I got good shit. I got way better shit than all these muffis have. But you know what? But then it's like, so I'm so self-absorbed. Then I fall into self-pity. They didn't ask me what I think. They didn't talk to me. They didn't say, hey, they didn't involve me in an active way. And in my head, I'm like, oh, how selfish are they not involving me? And the whole time I'm obsessed with them not involving me. So it's like, in actuality, like part of life is actively participating. Like I found out, like you gotta pipe up for the sake of pipe. You gotta be there. You gotta show up. You gotta fucking talk. You gotta, you know, it's a whole new experience, man. Like being there, saying stuff, participating. You know, because it's weird if you just keep playing that game, like, let's wait till somebody involves me. Eventually you're going to be alone, right? Like, I know it because I've done it.
Yeah, a couple of the challenges that I faced with that is like at first, because it was so new, like not talking all the time, was I just became very observant, you know? And then that turned into like lots of judgment. Yeah. Like, holy fuck, you know? Yeah. But my challenge right now is making sure my words mean something, but also like being assertive and saying the tough stuff and really expressing how I feel and saying what I think, even in moments where it may be like, in my mind anyway, like not okay or like really uncomfortable or, you know, so worried about other people's judgment of me that I'm just like, I'll just keep my mouth shut and I won't say anything the whole time.
Yeah.
Instead of being like, yeah, but it just in my mind, it's, especially if I'm in judgment, it's like, I'm going to call this person out for their shitty behavior, you know? And I need to.
That's a dangerous area. Right there.
And I'm not that guy.
Yeah.
So learning how to do that without being like very blunt and brash, I don't really know how to do. So I'm trying to learn that.
Clearing circle.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I know how to do
right.
it in certain circumstances, but I'm also aware when it's like not the time and I'm going to come from a charged place,
Right.
you know?
Yeah. That's the key. That's the thing, man.
Because it'll be rude. That much I do know. So I just don't do it, which I think is probably the right call, but learning how to do it appropriately, I mean,
That actually makes a lot of sense. It's almost like, I know I've told myself that I'm almost like the best decision is not to say anything, and like because then I mind what I find is important. So I'm like, no, like pay attention to what you find is important. Don't give that energy. If you give that energy, so I've gone like I'm going to call them out to I'm not going to give them that any energy, that or that person, like or fuck all that, like whatever they're up to. No, like it's not where I want to place my. That's not just that's not what I'm into. It's that direction I'm headed. But really, like, 9 out of 10 times it's a person where I have an ongoing relationship of some sort, whether it's a coworker, a friend, an acquaintance, like it's somebody that I see regularly, and it's not as simple as I'm just going to like, ignore that behavior and go down the path where that behavior doesn't exist, because, I mean, ideally that'd be great, but nope, it is, it's an inability to understand confrontation in a healthy manner. When is it appropriate? When is it not appropriate? When is it coming from a place of like care and concern? And when is it being respectful? When am I expressing like my feelings in a healthy way that respects somebody else and then where they're coming from? Like, it's like I wouldn't even know how to start a lot of the times. Because by the time the emotions have settled from whatever situation that is bothering me, it's almost like I don't care anymore. So I've gotten to the point where I can get through the emotion, like I could feel the feelings, then they're gone and I'm just happy about it. I just don't want to deal with it anymore.
So what if those same feelings around the same situation or behavior come up again?
That's the thing, they do, they always do. It's just like, it really is a matter of now they're not. Now I feel okay. Why stir the pot? Why cause uncomfortable feelings if I'm feeling okay now? It's no longer bothering me. I'm not emotionally charged anymore from said person's, fucking flippant tongue or whatever, right? Like, yeah. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that, man. And is it really like my problem, or is it really how I'm interpreting? Like so often I remember when I asked you for advice today. So before I asked you, and this is, I mean, the progress I've made is real, but it's like I'm definitely just at a spot where I've progressed and I need to do so much more work. Is like I knew that I could convince myself in the most altruistic, righteous way that I'm 100% on point and I'm right. And you know what? I shouldn't, if I want to go fucking ride and take the day off, if my boss is willing to give me that day and I want to do this last minute and like, we're no longer going to sleep at the cabin, like my girl should just be happy for, oh fucking yeah, you get to go ride, cool, well okay, well I'll come home or I'll stay at the cabin without you. But it's more like, it's but in my head I'm like, you should ask, so okay, the Wi-Fi calling is difficult, so I'd have to go move my car to privately call my sponsor, because you got the Wi-Fi calling and I'm parked way outside of the Wi-Fi net, so I'd have to move my car in front of Kieran's office to call my sponsor and I've done that, I have. But I'm like, okay, Daniel will work. He's not my sponsor, but I can get like, I can just hear what he has to say. Like, Daniel, I know I'm selfish as hell, and I'm not able to think about everything I need to think about in this situation. You made some good points, is that I'm in a relationship with someone, and it just is like, I should have talked to her, asked how she felt about it, explained what I wanted to do. It was very much like, she sent a text saying, oh, what do you want me to pack for the cabin for Thursday night? And Kieran had just told me, and I very much just reacted. I was like, Kieran gave the go-ahead for me to take Friday off. I'm going snowboarding. So it was almost like part of me was, and honestly, like just it's naive, like dumb man stuff, I think, or maybe just me just being stupid is I was like, I needed to tell her before she started packing for the cabin, before she started preparing what food she was going to like pack for tomorrow, right? I wanted to be like, oh, I should tell her so she doesn't start packing because I'm going snowboarding. I'm not going to, be there. But I didn't like take the time to actually like be, involve her and be like, listen, sweetheart, Karen said it's all right. I'd really like to do this. What do you think about this? All those things. And before I asked you, it didn't even occur to me that I should do that. Like I couldn't even see that. It's the truth. Recovery's brought a lot of that. So it started with day one. It's all sorts of things that my perception and vision and the way that I understand life has just been blocked off. That's how my addiction has survived for so long, that I had to open up. And basically it's just listening to other people. Like, fuck, man. Yeah, obviously I got myself to the position I was in. And I did it like all by myself, and I got myself in a hell of a mess, right? So listening to other people to help me get out of it is sort of the way higher power speaks, as I understand, right? Like if God were to say something to me, he'd definitely like first line, like, direct call, that's right through another person, right? Higher power can say a lot of things in a lot of ways I can understand, but if he wanted to be like, yo, I got something to say, he'd say it through you. He'd say it through Leslie, he'd say it through Kieran, he'd say it through my, a direct line of communication there. I don't know.
Yeah, another perspective's really important.
Yeah, it is.
It's also really important that you respect that person,
I know.
Yeah, I don't want to get into, just in a general way, it's like if you lose respect for that person, or, it may be dwindling, or maybe it was never there at all to begin with, it's really difficult to listen to what they have to say with, an open mind and an open heart, right? Like it's... Yeah, respect is an interesting thing, but people with a lot of humility, I find that I really respect.
Well, I agree, man. I agree 100%. I think humility is one of the most attractive sort of spiritual principles out there, and people that embody it are the best sorts of my favorite sorts, and I try to learn the most from them. Like, it's funny how I just start talking about myself and we're talking about humility, but it really is the most attractive thing out there. And just the simple fact of like, one of the things I had to learn to do was, that feeling when you're wrong, or you were convinced you were right, but then you have to like suck it up and you're wrong, and like your stomach like got a stone in it, and fucking esophagus and throat like close up, and you're just like, grr. It's to actually just go through that. Like, you know what, I was wrong. This afternoon I was inconsiderate, I didn't respect my partner in a minute, whatever it is, and just admit it, and admit that I'm wrong. And it's the hardest thing to do, and I think when you mention humility, it's such an important way to start learning how to respect others. And like, it really is, like, if I can't respect myself, then I'm not going to be able to pass that to somebody else. And how do I respect myself if I'm always right? Am I really showing myself? No, obviously not. Like, I'm just being a toxic nut fucking case if I think I'm always right. So if I'm showing myself respect and allowing growth and allowing the world to sort of unfold in a healthy manner, I'm going to realize I'm going to be wrong quite a bit, and that I got to deal with that when I am and learn from it, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Even that in itself is a balance as well, especially for me, because it's like everything that I think now, a lot of the time I can just doubt every single thing or every kind of feeling, or it's like,
Oh, backfires.
I need to check with someone. I'm wrong. This is probably wrong. Like, and that's not always the case either, right? You're not always wrong, but you're not always right either.
Exactly, man. And that's the thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's the truth. It really is.
But I know if that physiological thing keeps coming up for me, then I'm like, this needs to be addressed in some form.
Yeah.
And sometimes I need help figuring that out.
Yeah. That's the truth. And I do find, so if it gets to that point, I find I'm probably in the wrong at least a little bit. So maybe any given situation that might be taking place where the root of this example is given, like maybe I'm right, but I've probably done something wrong or handled it wrong or been too self-righteous about something or been, because, you know, like then, and even if my part of the argument was correct or my part of whatever is taking place, if I've got to the point where I'm having a physiological reaction, I've probably like gone foul somewhere, just for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you ever think of those times where you're so right and it's just like, and you just correct, it doesn't happen much. And you correct somebody and they can't even, it's like, oh yeah, you know, so, and you just keep rolling. Like, it's like, there's no doubt, the other side of the argument has no doubt, like, for whatever reason, this is one of those moments where you were like 110% correct and there's actually no logical argument. It's a rarity, but I mean, it's happened, man.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
it's like, but there's no like physiological reaction. There's no argument. There's no like, but I feel it's just like, yeah, you're right. You know what? Yeah. So, I don't know. Interesting points.
A lot to explore.
There is. I mean, I'm kind of curious. So a couple of things you said, let me just turn it back on to you. You're going on 4 years without drinking?
Yeah.
Man, so how did have you always lived in Canada? Like, tell me a little bit about your...
Oh, no.
So I've thought about it. So, yeah, I've thought of like, so it sounds like you got into some drugs too, but you really identify with the alcohol as the culprit. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm just curious where you come from. Like, I'm just curious.
You want the whole shebang?
I want the meat and potatoes for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I can do that. So I was born in New West, and
That'd be funny if you just started saying that. I don't know. Like, we took a break, and you're like, I was born in New West.
yeah, like we were talking about earlier. It's like we have a little lull in conversation, and then we're just like. So I was born in New West.
New West.
Yeah, I was born
Big
there.
recovery community there, I hear.
I was born 3 months premature.
Really?
Yeah, so I had quite a bit of stuff wrong with me, but like just underdeveloped, and you know, he's gonna have this and that when he's older and that kind of deal, which was fair. You know, like my ears were still stuck to my head apparently, and like, you know, it was,
Okay.
I mean, 3 months premature is quite a bit of time, right? But so I was in the hospital for quite a while after I was born. Then went home, had pretty severe asthma when I was young, lots of asthma attacks, and like fully going purple and emergency drives to the hospital, and it was pretty chaotic for my parents. But kind of grew out of that through elementary school and did a lot of stuff to kind of, like, I didn't want to accept it as my destiny. So I was like doing track and field and that kind of deal.
Yeah.
Trying to push through it, and just kind of grew up, and then kind of just like phased the inhalers out and didn't really feel like I needed them anymore. But up until I was 6, we lived in a trailer park in Mission.
Okay.
And it was like just kind of typical trailer park business. There was a lot of, you know, like there was a lot of traumatic events that happened.
Yeah.
And like I was only like 5-6 years old, and those are my earliest memories, and
Right.
like a lot of them are not good.
Yeah.
And no fault of my parents. It was just like the environment that we were in was just not ideal.
Right.
They worked a lot, like we're trying to provide a better life for us, and they did, but yeah, there was some stuff that happened that definitely, like, I wonder now.
The effect it played.
Yeah, I'm like,
had
that
on you,
probably
yeah.
changed me a lot at that age, and how
Right.
I saw,
Right.
you know, and woman is part of that story, right? And
Right.
so, yeah, we moved out of there. to Chilliwack. And yeah, I mean, I was fixated on another 6-year-old right away in grade 2, you know. I was like, where are the ladies, you know? And, yeah, man, like that pattern really continued for a long time, if not even until now. And like some stuff has turned out really awesome from that, and some other stuff has turned out really horrible, you know?
Yeah.
Especially in addiction. But anyway, I'll try and backtrack a little bit. Oh, I smoked weed in like grade 5, maybe, going into grade 6, like the summer or something like that. And like it was like every day in the summer, and my friends were like quite a bit older than me, like 16ish around there, and I remember just thinking they were like so cool. And looking back now and like in hindsight, totally not cool.
Yeah.
But you know, like one of the guys was really into MMA and like drinking and rapping, and like, you know, he was getting into fights with guys and showing me videos like, check this out. And he like put this guy in an arm bar and snapped his arm like over some girl like in a school field. And I'm like fucking broke the guy's arm. And I'm like I thought that was like the coolest thing. I was like, I want to be like that when I'm older.
Scary, huh?
And yeah, man, there's so many stories come up when I start telling this, but a lot of them are probably semi-irrelevant. Yeah, so I was smoking a lot of weed, and then after that, you know, my friendship with them kind of phased out. I think they moved or whatever, and I was going to like youth groups at a church every Wednesday or something.
Right.
And so, you know, there was a section of time where they would talk about God, maybe read a verse out of the Bible or whatever.
Yeah.
And then we'd have like a little mini group afterwards and kind of discuss things. And there were a lot of like gentle in there that I like looked up to, even though I was still kind of like, didn't really want anything to do with religion.
Right.
I still went because like I enjoyed my time there.
Yeah.
And this old guy, Abe, actually said something about lying to your parents, like something along those lines. And like I just felt this guilt, like, oh man, I smoked so much weed in the summer, and like my parents have no idea.
Yeah.
They did have an idea, but I didn't know that, and I was like convinced that they didn't know shit.
Oh wow.
So I went home that night with this like conviction, like I gotta tell the truth. And I went home and I told them like, dude, I was smoking weed every day in the summertime. But this was like really intense for me. Like I'm just a kid, and I was like bawling my eyes out.
Yeah.
And you know, like I was just met with love, and they were like, you know, I'm really happy that you're being honest with us, and like it's okay, and we'll move forward from this, and like it's kind of water under the bridge.
Sweet.
And I'm like, cool.
Yeah.
So then I get into middle school, and grade 9 maybe, you know, my buddies were talking about like, oh, we should buy some weed and let's smoke some weed. And like now my conviction's the opposite. So I'm like, fuck that, man. Like if you guys smoke weed, we are not fucking friends anymore. Like I was like serious about it. And you know, some time went by and I changed my mind. And grade 9 going into grade 10 that summer, I think, I was like, I'm gonna, like, we're doing it. Me and the boys are doing it.
Yeah.
So, you know, we made a little pipe out of a pop can and smoked weed, and it was a visceral experience, man. Like it was like a mushroom trip. It was that intense. Like time was like, did not exist. And all of a sudden you're like, open your eyes, you're in someone else, another buddy's house, and you're like, what the anyway. Yeah, man. And then I just was kind of like a stoner all high school, and then slowly just kind of, might have been the grade 9 summer too, even going into grade 10 that I had that first drink. And you know, my first experience that I remember drinking was like bad right out of the gate. Like, you know, smashed my phone and ended up, I guess I was swimming. I was in a blackout, and then I just woke up in my tent like soaking wet. And
oh shit.
Yeah, I was hanging out with like 30-year-olds, and I'm like 14, maybe even 13. and I'm like drinking with these 30-year-olds, and
Oh shit.
yeah, like it was a disaster right out of the gate, but I was like, that was awesome. You know, people like see me, people respect me, even though it's not really,
Yeah.
that's not really real, but that's what it felt like.
Yeah.
Now I'm getting what I feel like I needed.
Right.
And yeah, so that progressed throughout high school. Had a, you know, serious relationship at that time for the majority of high school, and then won't get into all those details, but you know, that didn't end well. I was, you know, in my addiction, pretty quite an asshole, and you know, really embarrassing her and that kind of deal. Then I was single and on, you know, a single rampage, and that was a disaster. Drinking and driving, drinking and getting high, drinking and yeah, the whole gambit, right? Treating women really poorly, and then I met Rihanna, which you met, and we were together for a bit, and as in like a few months, and they were like, "Oh, we're moving to Armstrong. Like, you want to come?" And I'm like, so quit my job, and at this time too, like,
Where were you then?
Chilliwack
still.
So at this time, like, Rihanna identified that I had a drinking problem, like, pretty quick.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I'll prove to you that I don't. So I went a month without drinking, which was the longest I had ever gone since pretty much I think I started.
Yeah.
And, but I was like smoking weed, and like I did some coke, and I was like, cause drinking's the problem.
Right.
And, you know, I went the month, and I like relatively, I was doing pretty well. Like, I was going to the gym, and I was eating good, and, you know, trying to convince myself and convince her, like, I'm good.
Yeah.
Like, drinking ain't shit. I can leave that behind.
Right.
Yeah, then that month came, and I just had this agenda in my head, like, once the month hits, I've proved to myself,
right.
you know, I'm good. So I'm going to crush some beers. And then it was like right back off the deep end. Then she had already moved out here. I moved out here a month later. And that was in September 2021.
Sounds right. That's 4 years.
Yeah. And yeah, I was still drinking. Things went really badly until the end of that year. Bad Halloween, bad Christmas, you know, and no fault of hers, like all my shit. And really bad New Year's. And then I just got up that morning on New Year's Day, and you know, they weren't the worst things that I had ever done, you know, in terms of like my actions that night, but the feeling that I woke up with was just like, I can't even look myself in the mirror anymore. Right. You know, it's like, you don't want to do this anymore, yet you keep doing it, and you know that you haven't wanted to do this for a long time,
right.
But you can't, like, I surrendered. I was like, I'm fucking powerless, like,
right.
For sure. And yeah, I decided, like, the feeling anyway was like, I'm either gonna, I can't do this anymore, like, I need to end my life, because I can't, there was no plan, but that's like, it was like, I just can't do this anymore, like, I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm done. And or my other option was like to try and get help. So I was like, I'm going to an AA meeting, and everything just kind of took off from there. Like, you know, I had an open mind, open heart, open ears, and was like, man, if these people can do it, I can do it. What did you guys do to get here? And then just followed the groundwork, and yeah, man, it was yeah, like up until now, like, I'm excited for the future, but like, those were like the best 4 years of my life with her, and being sober, and like, they were great, man.
Yeah.
And we got together pretty young, grew up, and
right.
You know, in essence, we're just like, yeah, we're not adding to each other's happiness. Like, we're not.
Yeah. Grew into different adults.
Yeah. Which is totally fine, right? Like, we're on good terms today, which is awesome, and
that's cool.
We were both able to handle it very maturely. And I mean, in terms of a breakup or a split, I think it probably went about damn near like as best as it could.
Yeah. Sounds like it.
Yeah. And now I'm here, man.
Yeah.
I mean, there's obviously so many things that happened in there, but
I'm glad to know this about you, man.
yeah.
Yeah. That's cool. So AA's done the trick, huh?
Yeah.
All better?
Well, no.
I heard you worked at, was it Options before? Or Turning Points?
Turning Points, yeah.
Is that a treatment center or is that? No.
Yeah. I can't get into that.
Okay. All right, man. I was curious.
And that's not out of, protection for the place or anything, but...
Just on a personal level, I get it.
Yeah. In a general way, it was a super tough job, and there's a lot of undealt trauma there.
Yeah.
For me.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it doesn't make me emotional or anything, but I never
Just don't. Yeah.
I didn't see anyone about it. I didn't
Yeah.
And yeah. There's a lot to figure out there that I haven't
Okay, that's fair.
figured out yet.
That's fair.
And just kind of moved on from there to the ranch, and now I'm accumulating different stuff.
Right.
Baggage, if you will. It's
really? Are you?
Well, not. I mean, it's hard. I don't want to be jaded, right? I mean, I think something that probably makes us both good at our jobs is we're pretty empathetic and good listeners, right? So it's not like I just leave my whole sack at work and come home and everything's hunky dory. I try the best that I can, but to do that perfectly every day is in my eyes kind of unrealistic.
Yeah.
And if you can, then I don't know, but
I bring work home a lot, man. Way more than I'd like to. I don't know. It seems like I have a good stretch, and then something will trigger me, and I'll be obsessing about it. I'll go home, and it'll take a couple of days for me to clear back out. I don't know. It's kind of like life in general, but yeah, it's tough. It can be tough, man, and it's important, especially with the nature of our work, not to be holding resentment and to be empathetic and to be good listeners, and which is good because it really does encourage thoughtful actions and behaviors, so there are some jobs out there that I've had that aren't as encouraging of making spiritual decisions and living in spiritual principles during disagreements, or I drove a forklift for a while, and I did a few things when I cleaned up, and I appreciate our work environment.
Yeah.
We're
very lucky.
Yeah,
when you all the work stuff that happens when you step back and really take it for what it is, I believe we're pretty damn lucky to work where we do and have the job that we do.
Yeah, I like our job, man.
We're just people too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Really. We're not, I mean, all the papers and certificates and schooling and all these things, don't get me wrong, amazing. But at the end of the day, we're just human too, It's that's what I'm trying to remember, is not to, I think they're important, but not to place too much importance on them, because even the people with those, accreditations that I really respect and talk with, I'm just man, they're just human too. They're,
Very true.
And that's what makes them really effective.
Yeah, you make a good point, man. And I think it goes back to, because that's the clear career. So it's growing my career is one thing, but not at the expense of, who I am, or my personal life, my family life, my social life, so my recovery, those sort of things. I can't help but looking at the peanut trail. Did you steal that?
No, I think it came from a garage sale or something. But I did not steal it.
Is it a real run?
Yeah.
It is, isn't
Yeah.
it? That's sweet. That's a good one.
Yeah, peanut trail.
I like that.
Well, should we wrap it up, brother?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
What,
No, I gotta stick to my routine. I still got a lot of stuff to do. And bedtime's becoming mucho importante.
Yeah, I start the same time as you. I know, man. Yes, let's do it.
And you have a drive too.
Yeah, I do. It's been a pleasure, man. Hopefully, if we do this again, I'm a little bit more learned, and we can get at it.
We will do it again if you're in.
Hey, if you're open to it, man. This is a pretty cool little setup you got. I'd like to add, I'm pretty impressed. This is like a mini TV set in your apartment, which is very nice as well.
Appreciate that.
Before you know it, you just get rolling. A few years from now, you just be like, the Big Dan Show.
the Big D Show.
Yeah. Thank you for
Well, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens. That's not I just like the consistency of doing it. That's like, right now, that's actually the most important part of this for me.
Well, I mean, that's how anything, like, you're showing up, right?
Yep.
That's how you grow anything, right? You start doing it.
Yep.
Gotta start somewhere, man.
All right, brother.
Thank you again.
Thank you very much. Peace.